The story I'm about to tell you took place during one of the darkest periods in history. Imagine this: a cold April morning, early 1945. A group of German female POWs hadn't eaten or drunk anything for days, barely able to walk. They had no shoes, their clothes were torn. Their eyes held nothing but fear and hopelessness. When British soldiers first saw these women, they were shocked. The commander asked in horror, "How are these women still alive?" But among the soldiers, there was one man, young, quiet, a man who had seen thousands of faces of war. He looked at the smallest woman among them, Elsa, her bones visible, her eyes carrying a calm acceptance of death itself. And in that moment, he whispered the words that would go down in history. "You're mine now. You're under my protection." Those words would begin one of the most unexpected stories born in the middle of war. But who were these women? Why were they in such a condition? And why would a British soldier risk his life to protect an enemy woman? Let's find out together. It's April 1945. World War II is about to end. Hitler's Germany is collapsing. The Soviet army is advancing from the east, while British and American forces are closing in from the west. At this point, everyone knows the war is lost. But what's being lost isn't just a war. Millions of lives are disappearing. In the final years of the conflict, many German women were called to support the military, some by force, some willingly. Some served as nurses, some were messengers, some worked in military supply depots, and others were forced into labor in fields, factories, and even ammunition production. Most of these women weren't soldiers at all. They were simply civilians trying to survive. As the Soviets advanced, everyone fled. Terrifying stories about what the Soviet army was doing to German women were spreading: rape, torture, mass executions. Out of fear, thousands of women took their children and started walking west. Many died during the months-long journey, from the cold, from hunger, from disease, or they were killed by Soviet soldiers. Those who survived hoped to reach British or American lines. Because they had heard something, Western soldiers are more merciful. But was it true, or just a desperate myth? The alarm bells were ringing inside the camp's kitchen tent. Head cook Sergeant William Cooper was shouting at his entire team, "Move it! We need soup for 300 people now!" Soldiers rushed around. Huge pots were placed over the fire. Potatoes were being chopped, onions thrown into the boiling water, salt, spices, a bit of broth. Slices of bread were being cut. Tea was being brewed. Warm milk was prepared for some women and children. But just then, the camp nurse, Margaret, hurried into the kitchen. Her face was serious, tense. "Cooper, stop!" The head cook turned around in shock. "What is it, nurse? We have to hurry. These women are starving to death." Margaret took a deep breath and revealed a terrifying truth. "That's exactly why we have to be careful. These women haven't eaten for days, maybe weeks. Their bodies are in starvation mode. If we give them normal portions right now..." Silence. "Their intestines won't handle it. Their stomachs will spasm. Their bodies will go into shock. And..." Cooper swallowed hard. "And they'll die, won't they?" "Yes, we would be killing people we just rescued from torture with food." Everyone in the kitchen froze. Emergency orders were issued. Each woman gets only one bowl of soup, half a portion. They must drink it slowly. A second portion may be given after 15-20 minutes. No one would be left hungry, but no one would eat fast. Margaret added, "And please, please be gentle with them. Most had their last real meal 5-6 days ago." Some survived by eating grass and roots. Their bodies are completely collapsed. Outside the kitchen tent, everything changed. The women began lining up, but terror filled the air. Because for many of them, standing in line was a traumatic memory. In concentration camps, lining up meant sometimes the gas chamber, sometimes selection for execution. Some women started trembling. An elderly woman dropped to her knees crying, "Nein, nein, nicht wieder!" No, no, never again. A young mother clutched her baby tighter, stepping back in fear. A group of women huddled together, as if numbers could protect them. Thomas and the other soldiers didn't understand. "What's going on? We're just giving them food." The interpreter, Frau Miller, an elderly German schoolteacher, explained, "They associate lining up with death. In the camps, standing in line sometimes meant going to the gas chambers or being chosen to be shot." The soldiers froze. Sergeant Cooper whispered, "My God, what have they been through?" Nurse Margaret quickly stepped forward and shouted in German, "Ihr seid sicher! You are safe! You are in no danger! You do not need to stand in line! Sit down! We will bring the food to you!" But the women were still terrified. Then Thomas had an idea. He took the first bowl of soup and drank it himself, right in front of them. Then he smiled. "See? It's safe. It's good." Another soldier did the same. Then another. Even Nurse Margaret drank a bowl. Slowly, the women began to understand. "Is this real? They're not poisoned. Maybe it's safe." The first woman to gather the courage was Frau Ingrid, middle-aged, hair falling out, eyes sunken. Her hands trembled as she took the bowl. She smelled it, then took a tiny sip. She waited. 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and then tears streamed down her face. "Es ist warm! It's warm! Es ist echtes Essen! It's real food!" The other women slowly came forward, very slowly, very carefully. Each one acted as if this might be the last meal of her life. Thomas noticed Elsa still sitting at the far back, curled on the ground, head buried in her knees. Thomas walked over to her. "Elsa, come, you need to eat." She lifted her head. Her eyes were empty. "Ich kann nicht. I can't." "Why not?" Elsa whispered, trembling. "Weil, wenn ich esse, wenn ich hoffe, und dann sterbe ich." Frau Müller translated. She says, if she eats, if she dares to hope, and then dies, it will hurt even more. Thomas's heart shattered. This young woman was so broken. She was afraid to hope, afraid to taste kindness. He knelt down, lowering himself to her eye level. In a soft but steady voice he said, "Elsa, listen to me. You will not die. Not here, not today. This is real. This food is real. We are here to help you. Please, trust me." Elsa looked at him, and for perhaps the first time in her life, she saw genuine compassion in a man's eyes. Thomas extended his hand. Elsa's trembling fingers touched his. He gently helped her to her feet and guided her to the soup station. A bowl of soup was placed in front of Elsa. Steam rising. Soft potato pieces floating inside. Elsa looked at the bowl, then at Thomas. Small sips, little by little. Elsa lifted the spoon. It felt as heavy as the world. She brought the first spoonful to her lips. She felt the warmth. She swallowed, and in that moment, her whole body trembled. Tears poured down her face. A quiet sob escaped her. Es schmeckt nach Leben." Thomas looked to Frau Müller. What did she say? She said, "It tastes like life." Thomas lowered his head. His own eyes were wet. Every soldier around them watched the scene in silence, because at that moment, everyone understood. Sometimes, a single bowl of soup is enough to save a soul. But then, chaos erupted. Some women began eating too fast. Their starving bodies couldn't control themselves. One woman gulped an entire bowl in seconds. 5 minutes later, she collapsed, vomiting, convulsing. "Doctor, doctor!" Nurse Margaret rushed to her side. "Breathe, breathe, slow." Another woman fainted, then another. The medical tent filled quickly. Dr. Harrison issued urgent orders. Slow down all food distribution. 1 spoonful, then wait 2 minutes, then another spoonful. Thomas never left Elsa's side. With every spoon she took, he nodded. Good, wait, now another one. Elsa ate slowly, with discipline. After 20 minutes, she finished the bowl. Thomas handed her a slice of bread. Here, but eat it slowly, very slowly. Elsa touched the bread. It was soft. It smelled fresh. A bit of butter on top. Das ist Brot? This is bread? Thomas smiled. Yes, fresh bread. She brought it to her mouth and took a tiny bite, and cried again, because she had forgotten what real bread tasted like. Thomas quietly handed her a cup of tea. Try this, it's sweet, we added sugar. Elsa took a sip and gasped. Süß, sweet. Thomas nodded. Yes, you need energy. As she drank, Thomas watched her and wondered, how many days was she like this? How many nights without sleep? What did she see? What did she endure? He didn't ask, because some questions don't need answers, only silent compassion. By evening, all 300 women had been fed. Some were still in the medical tent, but most were recovering. Elsa sat outside the kitchen tent, looking up at the sky. Thomas sat beside her. Are you feeling better? Elsa nodded. Ja, yes, danke, thank you. Silence. Then she whispered, Ich dachte, ich würde verhungern. I thought I was going to starve to death. Thomas swallowed. But you didn't. You're alive. Elsa looked at him, and for the first time, she smiled. A small, faint, but genuine smile. Thomas smiled back. And that night, for the first time in the entire camp, the women slept in peace. The next morning, the sun hadn't risen yet. Commander Richardson called for an early meeting. Gentlemen, the hygiene condition of these women is critical. There's a very high risk of disease spreading. Lice, fleas, parasites, even signs of typhus in some of them. Dr. Harrison added, if we don't clean them immediately, there will be an outbreak. Not just among the women, our soldiers could get sick too. The decision was made. All women would be taken to the showers, their clothes burned, and new clothing issued. But no one expected that this simple decision would turn into the most traumatic moment in the entire camp. 8 a.m. The soldiers made the announcement. Attention! Everyone will go to the showers! And at that moment, the entire camp froze. The women looked at one another, and then a wave of terror spread. Duschen? Showers? Nein, nicht die Duschen! Suddenly, women began crying, screaming. Some collapsed to the ground. Some clung to each other. Some tried to run. A mother grabbed her baby and shrieked, Nein, nicht mein Kind, nicht mein Baby! No, not my child, not my baby! A young woman cowered in the corner of a tent, sobbing hysterically. An elderly grandmother fell to her knees, praying. The British soldiers were stunned. What's happening? Thomas ran to find Frau Müller. What are they saying? Why are they this terrified? Frau Müller's face turned pale. Herr Thomas, when they hear the word showers, they remember the gas chambers. Thomas's blood ran cold. My God, they think... Yes, they think you're going to kill them. Commander Richardson immediately stepped in. Stop! No one forces anyone. Everyone stay calm. He called for Frau Müller. Please explain it to them. These are real showers, hot water, soap, cleaning. No one will be harmed. Frau Müller moved among the women and shouted in German. Hört zu, listen, this place is safe. These are real showers. No gas, no death, only warm water and soap. But the women didn't believe her, because the camps had told them the same thing. You're going to the showers, they had said, and then the gas. A woman screamed, Sie haben das Gleiche gesagt. They said the same thing. Margaret whispered, How can we convince them? Thomas had an idea. I'll go in. What? I'll shower, in front of them. Hot water, soap, everything. They'll see it's safe." Richardson nodded. "Good idea. Jenkins, you go too. Nurse Margaret, show the women's section." 10 minutes later, Thomas, Jenkins, and 2 nurses stood in front of the showers. The women watched from afar. Thomas removed his clothes. He stepped under the shower, turned the faucet. Water flowed. Warm, clean water. He washed his hair, used soap, rinsed off, then stepped outside. He looked at the women and smiled. "See? Just water, just soap, that's all." Jenkins did the same. Nurse Margaret demonstrated the women's showers as well. The women watched in silence. Then one woman stepped forward, Frau Ingrid, the same woman who had tasted the first bowl of soup yesterday. Ich versuche es. I will try." She slowly approached the shower. She reached out her hand to the water. It was warm. It smelled clean. Es ist wahr. It's real. Then she stepped inside. When the warm water touched her body, she began to cry. But this time, they weren't tears of fear. They were tears of relief. For the first time in months, she felt clean water on her skin. The other women saw her, and slowly courage spread among them. First 1 or 2, then groups. They began entering the showers. But not everyone could do it easily. Elsa was still standing at the very back of the tent, trembling. Thomas walked up to her. "Elsa, it's safe, I promise." Elsa shook her head. Ich habe Angst. I'm scared." "I know, but I won't let anything happen to you. I'll wait outside, right outside the door, I promise." Elsa looked at him. Her eyes were full of fear, but also something else. Trust. Maybe for the first time in her life, she trusted a man. Du wartest? You will wait?" "Yes, I'll wait, right here." Elsa took a deep breath and slowly walked toward the showers. Inside, the women had a separate section. Nurse Margaret and the female staff helped them. When Elsa entered, she froze in the changing area. She was terrified to undress, because for so long, being vulnerable meant danger. Margaret spoke softly. "It's okay, dear. No one will hurt you here. We're all women. You're safe." Elsa slowly removed her clothes. Her body was so thin, her bones were visible. Her skin was covered in layers of dirt. Her hair was tangled. Margaret guided her to the shower. She turned the faucet. Warm water touched Elsa's body. Elsa trembled, but then relaxed. The water washed away months of dirt, smell, and pain. Margaret gently washed her hair. "Let it go, dear. Let it all go." Tears streamed down Elsa's face. Water and tears mixed together. And in that moment, Elsa felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Maybe I'm still human. After the shower, the women were given clean towels and bathrobes. Elsa tried to put on her robe, but her hands were trembling. Margaret helped her. "There you go. Now let's dry your hair." As her hair was dried, Elsa looked in the mirror. She didn't recognize herself. She hadn't seen her reflection in months. Her face was so thin. But something was different. Her eyes no longer held only fear. There was a spark of hope. Outside, Thomas was waiting. He had promised, and he would keep his word. When Elsa stepped out, holding her robe tightly, her hair wet, a slight relief on her face, Thomas looked at her. "Better?" Elsa nodded. "Yeah, much better." Thomas handed her clean clothes. "Here, these are for you. Clean clothes." Elsa touched them. They were soft, clean, real. "Danke. Thank you." Thomas smiled gently. "You're safe now, Elsa." Elsa looked at him and whispered, "Ich glaube dir." I believe you. Those 3 words touched Thomas's heart. Because gaining trust in the middle of a war from someone considered an enemy was nothing short of a miracle. That evening, Thomas returned to his tent. He lay down on his cot, closed his eyes, but he couldn't sleep. The same image kept coming to his mind. Elsa's eyes, fragile, exhausted, yet somehow still fighting. "Damn it," he muttered. He had seen so much in this war. He had seen death, blood, friends torn apart. He had faced enemy soldiers in close combat, but nothing had ever affected him like this, because what he saw now wasn't an enemy. It was a victim. Footsteps sounded outside the tent. Corporal Jenkins stepped in, holding 2 cups of tea. "Thought you could use this, mate." Thomas sat up and took the cup. "Thanks." Jenkins sat beside him. A long silence followed. Then Jenkins spoke. "That girl, Elsa, you've been spending a lot of time with her." Thomas sighed. "I know. Just be careful, Hale." Thomas looked at him. "Careful of what? She's starving, terrified, and broken. What am I supposed to do? Ignore her?" Jenkins lifted a hand. "I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, we've seen a lot in this war, mate. But this is different. These aren't soldiers. They're just people. People used by a regime. And it's hard to separate that." Thomas nodded quietly. "I know exactly what they are, Jenkins. They're victims. Just like the people in those camps. Just like the civilians whose towns were bombed. They didn't start this war. They were just caught in it." Jenkins took a deep breath. "You're right, but Command sees them differently. To them, these women are still German, still the enemy." Thomas answered sharply. "Then Command is wrong." Jenkins smirked. "Careful, Hale. That kind of talk can get you in trouble." "I don't care." Silence again. Then Thomas continued. "Jenkins, you know what she said today, after the shower?" "What?" "She said, 'I believe you.' That's it. 3 words. But do you know what that means? It means that for the first time in God knows how long, someone showed her she could trust again. And if I can give her that, even just that, then this war wasn't entirely pointless." Jenkins looked at him for a long moment, then put a hand on his shoulder. "You're a good man, Hale. Just don't lose yourself in it." Thomas nodded, but inside, he knew. It was already too late. The next morning, Commander Richardson called for Thomas. The commander sat at his desk inside his tent. "Private Hale, sit." Thomas sat. Richardson looked at him, serious but not angry. "Hale, I've heard a few things." "Sir?" "That you've been giving special attention to the female prisoners, particularly one of them." Thomas straightened. "Sir, I'm only helping. They're hungry, frightened, defenseless people. The least I can." Richardson raised his hand. "Stop. I'm not accusing you. In fact, I'm proud of you." "Sir?" Richardson took a deep breath. "Hale, I've seen a lot in this war. And war changes people in 2 ways. It either hardens them, makes them cruel, or it makes them more human. You fall into the second group, and that's rare." Silence. "But you must be careful, because there is such a thing as military discipline, and getting too close to prisoners, especially prisoners from an enemy nation, can cause problems. Higher command may interpret it the wrong way." Thomas responded firmly. "Sir, with respect, they're not soldiers. They're starving women. Women who were used, abused, and abandoned by their own country. And if showing them basic humanity is against discipline, then maybe we need to question what kind of discipline that is." Richardson stared at him for a long time, then smiled. "You know, Hale, sometimes war brings out the best in people. Or the worst. In your case, it brought out the best." Then he grew serious again. "But know this, higher command may not approve. Some generals see helping German prisoners as treason. It's stupid, but it's real, so be careful. Help them, but don't cross the line." Thomas nodded. "Understood, sir." "Good. Dismissed." As Thomas turned to leave, Richardson added, "And Hale." "Yes, sir?" "That girl, Elsa. Take care of her. When the war is over, people like her might be the ones who rebuild the world. Thomas smiled. I will, sir. That evening, Thomas found Elsa in the mess hall. She was sitting alone, eating a slice of bread. Thomas sat beside her. May I? Elsa nodded. Yeah, yes. A moment of silence. Then Elsa spoke. Thomas, why are you kind to me? Thomas was surprised. She had spoken English, broken but understandable. Because you deserve it. Elsa smiled, but sadly. I was told Germans are evil, that we deserve nothing. Thomas's chest tightened. Who told you that? Everyone. My country, your country, the world. Thomas touched her hand gently. Elsa, listen to me. You are not evil. Your government was, your leaders were, but you're just a person caught in something far bigger than yourself. And you deserve kindness. You deserve safety. You deserve to live. Elsa's eyes filled with tears. Danke, thank you. No one said that before. Thomas smiled softly. Well, someone has now. And that night, for the first time, Elsa fell asleep with hope. As the days passed, a routine slowly formed in the camp. The women received hot tea and bread every morning, soup and vegetables at noon, potatoes and, rarely, meat in the evening. Clean clothes, regular medical checkups, safe sleeping quarters, but most importantly, they received respect. For the first time, someone treated them like human beings. For the first time, they were addressed as you with dignity, not as, hey, you there. For the first time, people asked for their names. And for most of them, that was more shocking than the war itself. But the camp was growing more crowded by the day. Every morning, new women arrived. Wounded women, sick women, pregnant women, women with children. The British Army was not prepared. Resources began to run out. Food became insufficient. Sleeping quarters filled up. Clothing supplies were depleted. Commander Richardson called for an emergency meeting. Gentlemen, we currently have 450 prisoners. Our capacity is 200. This is unsustainable. I will request help from higher command, but it will take at least 3 days. What do we do until then? Dr. Harrison added, and worse, some women show signs of tuberculosis. If an outbreak starts, silence. Everyone knew it would be a disaster. That evening, in the middle of this chaos, it happened. They were distributing clothes to the 150 newly arrived women, but there weren't enough. Only enough for 80 women. The rest had to wait. As the soldiers began distribution, arguments broke out. One woman shouted, Ich will auch. I want one too. Another yelled, Nein, ich war zuerst hier. No, I was here first. A mother tried to get clothes for her child but was pushed aside. And suddenly, chaos erupted. Women started shoving each other. Screams filled the air. Fear, panic, desperation. Everyone tried to grab clothing because they were freezing. They were ashamed of their torn rags. They just wanted to feel human again. The panic grew. Soldiers shouted, Stop, Dua! But no one listened. The women were out of control. Trauma, fear, hopelessness, all exploding at once. A woman fell. She was being trampled. Hilfe! Help! Elsa was trapped in the middle of the crowd. She couldn't breathe. Arms, legs, screams, everything blurred. Someone slammed into her. She fell. And in the chaos on the ground, she was being stepped on. Bitte, please! But no one heard her. At a distance, Thomas was on the other side of the camp. He suddenly heard the screams. He turned, saw the crowd, and then he saw her, Elsa, on the ground, helpless, hurt. His heart stopped. Elsa! He started running, pushing through the crowd. Move! Get back! Czekilin! Some soldiers helped, but the chaos was too intense. Thomas had to force his way through. Finally, he reached her. Elsa was curled on the ground, crying, hands over her face, trembling. "Elsa!" Thomas dropped to his knees and touched her. "Elsa, it's me, Thomas." Elsa lifted her head, eyes wide in panic. "Thomas, Thomas, bitte, bitte, lass mich nicht allein." "Please, please, don't leave me alone." Thomas gently lifted her into his arms. She clung to him tightly, because in that moment, Thomas was her only safe place. He carried her out of the crowd and took her to a quiet corner, set her down slowly. Elsa kept crying, sobbing uncontrollably. Ich dachte, ich würde sterben. I thought I was going to die." Thomas knelt in front of her. He took her hands, looked into her eyes. "Elsa, listen to me." She looked at him, fear still deep in her eyes. Thomas continued, "You're mine now." Elsa stared at him in shock. Thomas quickly corrected himself. "I mean, you are under my protection now. You are mine to protect. No one will touch you again. No one will hurt you. I promise, I will keep you safe." Tears rolled down Elsa's cheeks, but not tears of fear, tears of relief. Because at that moment, she understood she was no longer alone. Du meinst es ernst? You really mean that?" Thomas nodded. "Yes, I mean it. From now on, you are under my watch. No one will hurt you. I swear it." Elsa then did something she hadn't done in months. She smiled, a real smile. "Danke, danke, Thomas." The soldiers nearby watched the scene. Some were surprised. Is Hale protecting her? "Hale onu koruyormu?" Jenkins whispered to the soldier beside him. "He's not just protecting her, he's taking responsibility for her. That's different." Another soldier added, "That's dangerous. Command won't like it." But Jenkins shook his head. "Maybe. But it's also the most human thing I've seen in this war." After that moment, something changed among the women. Word spread. That soldier, Thomas, he protected a woman. He pulled her out of the crowd. He told her, "You're mine now." That means she's safe now. And slowly, other women began trusting Thomas as well, because they saw this man was different. This man genuinely cared. That evening, Elsa found Thomas. "Thomas?" Thomas turned. "Elsa, are you feeling better?" Elsa nodded. "Ja, thanks to you." A moment of silence. Then Elsa pulled a small piece of paper from her pocket. There was something written on it, in German. She handed it to him. "For you." Thomas took it, read it, but he didn't know German. "What does it say?" Elsa smiled. "Es sagt, du hast mein Leben gerettet. Ich werde es nie vergessen." Thomas brought it to Frau Müller. She translated, "It says, you saved my life. I will never forget it." Thomas turned back to Elsa. She was still smiling. Thomas nodded softly. "You don't need to thank me, Elsa. Just stay alive. That's all I ask." Elsa nodded. "I will. I promise." That night, when Thomas lay down on his cot, his heart felt at peace. Because he knew, today, he saved a life. Maybe just one life. But that one life was precious. And in the middle of a war, saving even one life was the greatest victory of all. Days turned into weeks. Late April, early May. The camp was now more organized, more orderly, and the women were slowly changing. Not only physically, but emotionally, mentally. The first change, meal times. The women now stood in line, but without fear, because they knew there would be food, every day, regularly. One woman, Frau Ingrid, thanked Sergeant Cooper with the English words she had learned. "Thank you for food, every day." Cooper smiled. "You're welcome, love." Another woman, young Greta, tasted English bread for the first time and was shocked. "Es ist so weich, so soft. Not even in Germany is bread like this." The soldiers laughed, but it was a warm, happy laugh. The second change, appearance. The women's hair was neat now. Their faces were clean. Their clothes weren't torn anymore. And most importantly, there was light in their eyes. Nurse Margaret told Dr. Harrison one afternoon, "You know, when they first arrived, all their eyes were dead. Now I look at them, they're alive, truly alive." Harrison nodded. The strength of the human spirit. Even when it breaks, it can be rebuilt. The third change, social interaction. The women were speaking to each other again, smiling. Some had even begun to sing. One evening, an old German lullaby filled the camp. Guten Abend, gute Nacht. The soldiers stopped what they were doing and listened. It was beautiful, sad, but full of hope. Thomas noticed Elsa singing along, eyes closed, a faint smile on her face. And in that moment, Thomas realized music was something even war couldn't destroy. The fourth change, their attitude toward the British soldiers. In the early days, the women feared the soldiers. Now, they trusted them. Some women picked flowers for the soldiers. Some gave drawings their children made. One day, a little girl handed Thomas a picture. It showed a soldier and a woman, both smiling. Underneath it said, "Danke für alles," thank you for everything. Thomas hung the picture in his tent, and every night when he looked at it, he remembered why he was there. But not everything was perfect. Some women were still traumatized. At night, screams echoed through the camp. Nightmares, memories, fear. One night, Elsa woke up screaming. Nurse Margaret ran to her. "Elsa, what's wrong?" Elsa was trembling, crying. Ich habe geträumt. I dreamed. The Soviets, they were coming, taking me." Margaret tried to calm her. "Shh, it's okay. You're safe here. No one will take you." But Elsa couldn't calm down. "Thomas, ich brauche Thomas. I need Thomas." Margaret hesitated. Normally, soldiers entering the women's barracks at night was forbidden, but this was different. She went outside and found Thomas. "Faye, Elsa needs you. She had a nightmare. She can't calm down." Thomas didn't hesitate. He went straight to the women's barracks. Inside, Elsa sat curled in a corner, knees to her chest. Thomas approached slowly. "Elsa." She lifted her head, eyes red and swollen. "Thomas." Thomas sat beside her. He didn't touch her. He just was there. "I'm here. You're safe." Elsa whispered, "Ich hatte Angst. Du würdest nicht kommen." "I was afraid. You wouldn't come." Thomas said softly, "I will always come when you need me, Elsa. Always." Elsa looked at him, then slowly rested her head on his shoulder. Thomas froze, then relaxed. He placed his hand gently on her back, comforting her. "It's okay. Sleep now. I'm here. Nothing will happen." Elsa gradually calmed down. Her breathing steadied, and then she fell asleep. Thomas sat there for hours. He didn't move, because he knew the only thing Elsa needed at that moment was trust. By morning, rumors spread among the women. The soldier, Thomas, he stayed with Elsa all night. But he didn't do anything. He just stayed. "I've never seen a man like that." Old Frau Ingrid told the other women, Maybe, not all men are monsters. Maybe some are truly good." Her words created a powerful shift among the women. Many had only ever associated men with violence, control, abuse. But Thomas was different, and that was changing their world. As the days passed, the bond between Thomas and Elsa grew stronger. But it was not romantic, it was human. One human being saving another, expecting nothing in return, only wanting her to be safe. Elsa now looked for Thomas every morning. "Good morning, Thomas." Thomas smiled. "Good morning, Elsa. Did you sleep well?" "Ja, much better." Small conversations, but meaningful ones. One day, Elsa asked, "Thomas, after war, what will you do?" Thomas thought, "I'll go home, to England, see my family, and try to forget this war." Elsa's expression sank. "Will you forget me too?" Thomas looked straight at her, serious. "Never, Elsa. I could never forget you." Elsa smiled. "Good, because I will never forget you." And in that moment, a bond formed between them. Beyond war, beyond nationality, beyond language. A bond of humanity. It was mid-May. The camp no longer looked like a prison camp, but almost like a refugee center. The women moved more freely now. They sat in the yard. The children played. Some women even helped the British soldiers with daily tasks. A fascination with British bread. One morning, the smell of freshly baked bread spread through the camp. The women hurried to the kitchen. Sergeant Cooper was lining up the warm loaves. "All right, ladies, fresh bread, taze ekmek." When the women took the bread, they were amazed. "So weich, so soft. Es ist warm, it's warm. Und es riecht so good, it smells amazing." One woman kissed the bread and pressed it to her forehead as if it were a precious treasure. Cooper laughed. "It's just bread, love." But to the women, it wasn't just bread. It was a piece of normal life, a sign that life could continue. Getting used to British tea. The British served tea with every meal. At first, the women found it strange. Tea with food? But then they grew used to it, and some even loved it. "Mit Milch und Zucker, with milk and sugar, it's wonderful." One day, old Frau Müller told Thomas, "Weißt du, in Germany, we never drank tea like this, but now I want it every day." Thomas smiled. "Welcome to British culture, Frau Müller." Using real soap for the first time. Most of the women had never seen proper soap, especially during the war years, when Germany barely had any. When the British gave them small bars of soap, the women smelled them. "Es riecht nach Lavendel? Does it smell like lavender? Und es ist so glatt, and it's so smooth." Nurse Margaret showed them how to use it. And when the women washed their hands with real soap for the first time, they smiled. Some even cried, because that small bar of soap wasn't just soap. It was the return of humanity. A small school for the children. There were about 40 children in the camp, some 4 or 5 years old, some 10 or 12. Commander Richardson made a decision. These children need education, at least basic reading and writing. Since Frau Müller war eine frühere Lehrerin, sie volontiert. Und eine kleine Schule wurde in einem Eck des Lagers aufgebaut. Kinder saßen und lauschten auf Unterricht in Deutsch und Englisch, Math, Geografie und most importantly, Playtime. For the first time, die Kinder waren aktiv wie Kinder angenommen. Eines Tages, eine kleine Mädchen kam zu Thomas. "Herr Thomas, kannst du mir helfen? Can you help me?" Thomas war erstaunt. "Of course, what do you need?" Die Girl zeigte ihm ein Papier, wo sie hatte probierte zu reiben, englische Worte. I verstehe das nicht. I don't understand this." Thomas setzte down und half ihr. "This word is friend. Repeat, friend." Friend. Thomas smiled. "Good. And this word is thank you." "Thank you? Thank you. Thank you." Thomas patted ihr head. "Very good." Die Girl ran happily zu ihren Freunden. "Ich habe es gelernt. I learned it." Friendships among the women. Die women begannen formen ihre eigenen small groups. Some were from East Germany, some from West Germany, some from Austria. But none of that mattered anymore. They had all experienced the same trauma. They had all felt the same pain. And now, they were healing together. In the evenings, they gathered and shared stories. "My husband went to war. He never came back. My house was bombed. I lost everything. I escaped from the Soviets. I was lucky. Many of my friends were caught." And these stories brought them closer. because they were no longer alone. Thomas and Elsa's morning routine. Every morning, Thomas checked on Elsa. It became a ritual. "Good morning, Elsa." "Guten Morgen, Thomas." "Did you sleep well?" "Yeah, much better. No nightmares." "Good. Have you eaten?" "Yeah, bread, tea, very good." Thomas smiled. "I'm glad." Then Elsa asked, "And you, Thomas, are you eating well?" Thomas was surprised. It was the first time Elsa had asked something like that. "Me? Yeah, I'm fine." Elsa said seriously, "You work too much. You need to rest." Thomas laughed. "You sound like my mother." Elsa smiled. "Maybe mothers are always right." Music and dance. One evening, a British soldier brought a gramophone to the center of the camp. "Hey, let's play some music." He put on a record, a melody mixed with jazz. The soldiers clapped. The women were confused at first. "Was ist das? What is this?" "Music." At first, no one danced. But then young Corporal Jenkins gathered the courage to extend his hand to a woman. "May I have this dance?" The woman blushed, but accepted. And they danced. Slowly, others joined. Women and soldiers, dancing together, in the middle of a war. Elsa looked at Thomas. "Do you dance, Thomas?" Thomas shook his head. "Not really. I'm terrible at it." Elsa smiled. "Me too." But they still stood up, and slowly they danced. Elsa's hands were trembling. Thomas held them gently. "It's okay, just follow my lead." And in that moment, there were only two people in the world. No war, no suffering, only music and dance. That night, before sleeping, Elsa said, "Today was a good day." Thomas smiled. "Yes, it was." Elsa added softly, I wish every day could be like this." Thomas nodded. "Maybe one day, when the war is truly over." Elsa looked at him hopefully. "Do you think we will be okay after the war?" Thomas looked at her honestly. "I don't know, Elsa, but I hope so. I really do." And that night, for the first time, Elsa fell asleep not only with memories of fear, but with hope. In May, the war officially ended. Germany surrendered, and now it was time for the women to return home. But many of them had no home to return to. Their cities were bombed, their families scattered. No one was waiting for them. Elsa was one of them. Her family was in Berlin, but Berlin was now nothing more than ruins. Thomas asked her, "What will you do?" Elsa shrugged. "Ich weiß nicht. I don't know." Thomas reached into his pocket and took out a small handkerchief, his name embroidered on it. "Take this. If you ever need help, find me." Elsa took the handkerchief, her eyes filling with tears. "I will never forget you." Thomas replied gently, "And I will never forget you too, Elsa. Take care of yourself. Life is starting again." The next day, the women began leaving the camp. Some took trains back to Germany. Some went to stay with relatives. Some had nowhere to go at all. Thomas watched as Elsa boarded the train. She looked at him through the window and waved. Thomas waved back, and Elsa left. When Elsa returned to Germany, she kept the handkerchief Thomas had given her for the rest of her life. She never told anyone the full story, but every time she looked at it, she remembered his words, "You're mine now." It wasn't ownership, it wasn't control. It meant protection, it meant mercy, it meant humanity. Years later, when she was an old woman, she told her grandchildren, "Not everyone in the war was an enemy. Some people remained human." And this story became proof that not even war could completely extinguish the light of humanity. Now think about it. How many people, even if they were an enemy, would help someone in need? How many would show mercy? How many would choose to stay human? The story of Thomas Hale and Elsa reminds us of one thing: humanity is stronger than war. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more historical stories. See you in the next video.